Hello there, everybody. How are you doing? I hope you're well. It's Rosie Glow here, and I'm delighted to be with you tonight. I have my whiteboard, which I will move on to in a little bit, but I just want to give people a chance to get on, and yeah, hopefully we're going to have a nice half hour together. I've got my cacao on the ready, and I've got to remember to check the comments. Learned that last time. So hello, welcome everybody who's coming along. If you want to introduce yourself, you're going to have the opportunity to ask questions. I've had some questions come through as well. Let's just see, live chat, all messages visible. That's what we want. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. So feel free to introduce yourself. For those of you who don't know me, I am Rosanna, otherwise known as Rosie Glow, and I am delighted to share with you a little bit about this Co-Creation Success course, because this course is pretty damn magical, and in, well, 20 years of yoga teaching and a good 5 years of co-creating my reality and so much in between, I have not really come across anything that works so quickly and powerfully to help you take charge of being in the driver's seat of your experience here on Earth and in your life. And the whole purpose of the course, really, it came about through a dream, okay? And I've realized more recently, or I've been told more recently, that when I am doing my healing work, when I am doing my coaching work and channeling and any kind of public stuff, I'm working with something or an entity group called the Co-Creation Collective. And they are part of the Co-Creation Council. Now, if this all seems a little bit woo-woo for you, don't worry about it. What I'm very, very good at is taking woo-woo concepts and making them really grounded in physical reality. So that's how, through this dream, I got the download of a course outline that was basically about reprogramming your internal sat-nav and using analogies we all understand in terms of our technology, which, although is hugely advanced, it's nowhere near as advanced as we are when we fully activate our superhuman powers, which is really, again, that this course is an intro to being able to access all of that. And I will talk about something called divine architecture, which this course really helps you to understand the foundations of. And one of the things I've sought to do over the years is just to simplify the tools that we use to get the results that we want to. So I'm going to try and start from the very beginning, bearing in mind that usually people who are completely new to esoteric concepts or to, for example, the law of attraction or the fact that we co-create our reality through our perception and our experience based on the past influences our perception and therefore our expectation. As a result of that, we have a bit of an interaction going on with the world around us. And the whole concept of being completely new to this will mean that you will potentially feel a little bit confused, but I'll try and explain it from the start on the basis that most people that are attracted to my work have already done some kind of self-development, self-inquiry, spiritual inquiry, and they're probably really, really good at some aspects of it. So you may find yourself being quite a master. You might be a healer or a therapist yourself or a teacher of some description, but still there are areas of life that seem to have you kerfuffled. It doesn't seem to matter what you do. You just keep creating the same thing again and again and again. And you know the tools. You meditate, you do yoga, you use positive affirmations, you set intentions. Maybe you do EFT tapping or theta healing. Maybe you do Reiki. There's all sorts of things that you may well already do. And it's like, why do I keep creating this? Why does this keep happening? And again, this is why this course was created, to help explain why things keep happening. So I have some questions already that have been sent to me that I will go through to try and answer everything for you. But feel free to ask questions as you go along. I'm just going to check that. Does someone want to just drop me a quick hello so I can check that the live chat is working? Because last time I wasn't that clear. So feel free to just say hello and then I'll know who's here. I know there's 6 of you on at the moment, which is great. And I'm sure there'll be more. Great. Hey, Susie, lovely to see you. Hey, Rochelle, lovely to see you too. Great. Okay, it's working. So feel free to ask questions at any point. And anyone who knows me, both Susie and Rochelle know me, there's whole universes in my head, and sometimes I'll go off on tangents and lose the plot. So I have written the 6 steps down, which I don't really want to sort of draw you towards that at the moment. So I'm going to kind of go over here a little bit to start with, and talk a little bit about the program and how it's kind of, come to be and what it is and why it's different to anything else that I've done. And then I'll take you through the 6 steps and explain them. Okay, so I've brought up some notes just to make sure that I keep on track. So I've explained about how it all began. Obviously, I had a dream. So 5 years ago, I started working with an amazing teacher called Susanna Kennedy, who I found through Dr. Bruce Lipton. So I had read Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief. I'd read Spontaneous Evolution. I'd read The Honeymoon Effect. I discovered that all his work underpinned all my other work as a teacher, a yoga teacher, because I worked primarily with prenatal and postnatal yoga and babies and fertility over the last, 15 years, fertility for sure. So I discovered that his work was showing up everywhere and I was fascinated. But what he did in his book was he explained what needed to happen to be able to shift your experience of reality. He did not explain how to do it. And so I looked for a teacher who would explain how, and that's how I found my teacher. And through working with her, I then trained in the methods that she teaches, and I became a certified emotional mental detox coach. I'm already a Reiki master, senior yoga teacher, teacher trainer, pre and neonatal trauma specialist, mother, and coach. So the coaching that I've done over the years, I don't like to call myself a life coach. I call myself a multidimensional success coach. And what I've discovered is what was a burden in my childhood, which I think a lot of you will relate to, just being incredibly sensitive to the world around me, incredibly sensitive to the thoughts of others, to the feelings of others, to being in large groups and kind of wanting to avoid that. I often took on the feelings and thoughts of others as my own and got very, very confused between what was real and what wasn't. And as a result of that, really suffered as a child and as a teenager with being overweight, being bulimic, just looking for love through sex and all the usual drinking, smoking, just being a bit of a crazy girl. And discovered just how unhappy I was and how I'd learned as a child that what I thought happiness was actually people partying, people drinking and smoking and being out of it because they looked like they were happy. And I'm saying this because it really does relate to this course and these early programs that we have. So from the age of 18, I'd started training in Reiki. My mother was my Reiki master. And I was already teaching yoga by the time I was 20. So it was really one of those things that it kind of found me, this path found me, but I was on the slow path for a long time. And that's why, again, the Co-Creation Success course came about at the end of a lot of journeying to kind of speed things up. So what I've been finding with my clients recently is they're doing in 18 months, 2 years, what took me 5 years to do. So things really speed up. And this is the latest support to speeding things up and cutting out the faff. Okay, because if you have done any kind of spiritual work, you'll know that there's lots of different ideas out there. It can get very confusing, and trying to take on other people's doctrines is something that leads us very much to a place of confusion, because we can end up taking on spiritual beliefs like we do religion and believing dogma, other people's dogma, as our own, and trying to live virtuous lives, but not actually feeling much better, just looking around and thinking, they all look like they're doing this. Does this work? And you give it a go and you see how you feel, and you may have good results, you may have limited results. This course is about supporting you to uncover your blind spots and to be able to put you in the driver's seat of where you're going, where you are now, where you want to be, and the way that you get there. So I think it's important to explain what co-creation is. And co-creation, as I understand it, if you've actually heard of what manifesting is, manifesting means being able to create something, right? Out of nothing, out of something else. Transformation, transmutation, slightly different things. Transcendation, again, slightly different. So to transcend something is to leave behind something and to move into another state, but it doesn't mean to have transformed the state. So you can hear about spiritual bypassing, is also known sometimes as transcending, because you kind of avoid things that are uncomfortable and sort of shut doors and look for the pleasant ways without realizing that things that you haven't dealt with will keep coming up until you embrace them, until you make peace with them, until you love yourself through them, which which is, again, understanding that really helps you. So these are keys to helping you move forward. Co-creating is creating with some other aspect. So who are we co-creating with? Well, we can co-create with our programmed self, our ego. And again, the ego is not a bad thing. It's made us wired to survive the environment that we've been born into. But we can also co-create with our higher selves or our divine selves, or we can co-create with what we call source, direct, or God, right? Which again, I will claim as an aspect of ourselves, our divine selves. So there's everything in between. There's all these other voices in between. But ultimately, you have a choice. You either co-create from love or you co-create from fear. And most of us are programmed from birth to see through eyes of fear and not through eyes of love. So we have issues that come up as a result of that, and heavy conditioning that basically filters our perception of life. And the way we see it is how we presume everyone sees it. And then we get into battles around that. And actually, we discover that everyone has their own perspective, and actually we're all living our own virtual reality. So it's how do you make your personal virtual reality as pleasant as possible and as harmonious as possible with those that you have attracted to you, because they're all living their virtual reality as well. So that's important. Now, what is success? I think, again, this is really important because we define success in lots of different terms. I've got lovely mama cacao here. So success in my terminology is being able to master something that to this point you have perceived yourself to fail at. So some of us perceive success as, having a particular title, a certain amount of money, having got married, had children, do all the things that we're supposed to do as human beings, apparently according to the social construct. But ultimately, the way that I would measure success is through inner fulfillment, inner happiness, inner joy. That's one aspect. But the other aspect is actually your outer world reflecting your inner world. That's a part of success. It's not just about, I feel wonderful, but my whole world around me is crap. I haven't got enough money to sustain myself. My relationships are strained. My environment's not particularly pleasant. All of that. If your outer world isn't mirroring your inner world and you perceive your inner world to be wonderful, then there is a question there about what's going on. So for me, success is when your subconscious programming is lined up with your conscious will, and you are seeing a beautiful interplay between your inner intention and your outer experience. So that's how I define success. And this is not about the fact that you won't have challenges, okay? We all have challenges in life. We've all set ourselves up challenges, actually, in order to be able to grow our souls, in order to grow consciousness, in order to move from separation consciousness and duality consciousness to unity consciousness, and reconnecting with our divine selves, which is all explained on the course. So that's what I would say co-creation success is all about. It's about being able to define, again, the fact that you are participating in the world, and through that participation, you are then able to look at how you're showing up, okay? So if you're showing up in such a way where you're expecting terrible things to happen, even if wonderful things are happening all around you all the time, you're so focused on the fact that you're looking for trouble, you will find it. And this is explained in the course. So again, before I go through the 6 steps, one of the things to actually consider is, questions like, why do we keep failing even though we have a plan? That's one aspect. Some of us know very clearly where we want to go, and others have no idea where we want to go. We just don't know what we want, and we're scared to look at it. And when we start thinking about our life purpose, if you like, or our soul's purpose, that freaks us out because we just don't know why we're here. And again, the course will explain to you the very basics of being able to co-create successfully in this earthly plane. So what that means is understanding why we're here. And there are lots of stories around why we're here, but I keep it really simple. This is about your vibration. Whatever feeling state you are in influences the earth beneath you and all those around you. So to simplify life purpose is to feel as good as you can as much of the time, and to navigate through challenging times in such a way that you minimize negative impact on yourself and others, and you maximize the opportunities for healing and growth wherever they are. In my yoga classes, I call this seeing through eyes of love, and loving what you see. So this is a way of being able to move through life, the ups and the downs, in such a way where you keep looking for win-win-win scenarios. You keep looking for where you can grow, the other person or entity can grow, and how all of us can grow in the end as we move out of struggle into thriving and success. So stop me at any point if anyone has any questions around what I'm saying. So again, when I kind of think about who this is for, it's both for people who have a determined plan and for people who don't, because we will get to that through setting our vibration, setting our intention. Generally speaking, as I said, people are not really that attracted to me if they're completely new to this work. But for people who have been doing a lot of work and self-development and spiritual work, often they can kind of feel, I've worked on myself a lot. What's this going to give me that I don't have already? And both in my coaching and in this introductory course, which is not a coaching course, it's a presentation, and it will take you through 6 steps that will support you all the way to being able to uncover your own blind spots, both through your own self-inquiry, also through interacting with me and interacting with the group. So you get this win-win-win scenario again, because you get this ability to sort of see what you can yourself, then you work it with someone else, then you work it with the group. So again, you're getting, it's like when you do quality control and you just make sure that you're not bullshitting yourself, basically. So you kind of step out of the place of denial into seeing things as they are. And for those of you who've done a lot of work, what this is really about is unplugging from the motherboard. Okay, so this is about, think about computer programs, think about operating platforms, think about pre-programs, think about setting your own custom programs. This is what this is really about, is working out what's there already and how you want things to actually be. And from my point of view, when I'm working with people who I call masters who've got a little lost along the way, and I was definitely one of those myself, is to unplug everything, okay, and not say it's not valuable. We're not chucking it away. We're just unplugging everything and plugging it back in an order in such a way that you know you're building on solid foundations, because very often we're seeking to co-create, we're seeking to manifest, and we do not have good, solid soil, ground, roots, soil. We don't have the foundations of something growing well. It's not stable. So our plants, our branches can't grow beautifully. Okay, trying to stick to time. So I'm trying to keep this 30, 40 minutes. So I'm going to, I think, move into the 6 steps and explain what the 6 steps are. So this is all in the Co-Creation Success landing page, okay? Now, I'm going through an upgrade at the moment, and that's very much through my website. So the landing page does give the wrong date for the course. So presently, we're talking about the 3rd of February, starting on the 3rd of February, 7:30 p.m., which is a Sunday, GMT. It will run for good 90 minutes, 2 hours. I'm there for you. I'll be as long as you need me to be there. And ultimately, anytime you actually watch this video, there will be either an evergreen version of the course or the next live course running soon. So you can just get in touch and I'll let you know. But basically what we're doing as let me just bring this down for a second and go through the 6 steps. When you actually look at the course outline as outlined by the landing page, you will find that this is really what we cover, and there are more details, but I'm just going to go into this and see if there are any questions from you, and we'll go from there. So let's just move this along a little bit. Okay, so first of all, the first step is about setting intention. Now, we all know about affirmations, we know about New Year's resolutions, we know about all that kind of thing, but intention is really about getting clear on what you want and why you want it. So it's not about how you're going to get there, right? It's just about what you actually want to experience in this life, in this body. You are unique. We are all unique. And one person's paradise is another person's hell, right? So we are totally entitled to experience what we want to experience. So having an idea of how you want to feel is the starting point with intention, okay? And what we do with the course is you have some pre-work to do so that you can define the 3 areas of your life that most need improving. And this is where you start to learn that your conscious mind has a certain idea, and then your subconscious will start to speak to you through all the other aspects of your being. And this is what you discover through the 6 steps, is what you think is the biggest problem in your life or the biggest area that you want to improve is probably just the symptom and not the cause. So again, what we do is we work in step 1 to uncover the 3 areas that most need your attention, and actually also which of those areas is most impacting the others. So what's the order in which we need to approach things? Because you may think X equals Y because of something else, but actually it might be that Y is the way it is because of something else before X, okay? And you don't know this until you start to go through the process that we actually go through, which is, again, a little bit more about confusing your conscious mind so that instead of it being able to show up as it's used to doing and just to keep the facade up, we actually find what's underneath it that until now you might not have found, even if you've done Fearless, Empowered and Free to Be Me or Conceive with Ease training with me, which reprograms the subconscious, but it can all seem quite overwhelming at the time and you don't have a map to order everything into. So this is about setting your internal sat-nav, the first step, and it's about understanding what is already there. So if I go to the course content, I can explain a little bit more about that. So in week 1, what we do is we look at what the pre-programs are. So what you've been kind of born with, understanding that who you are is who you were programmed to be, getting clear on the destination you actually want to go to yourself rather than one you were told you wanted to go to, and also the route intention. So this is about like what kind of route, what kind of journey do you want to have? Do you want it to be adventurous? Do you want it to be peaceful? Do you want it to be fast-paced? Do you want it to have some slow and fast? Like, you get to choose, all right? Then we talk about aligning with grace. We do a whole exploration of grace and what grace actually means. And I have several definitions of grace that have come to me through my life. And I work with Divine Grace, which is the soft pink flame that is part of Rosy Glow. So we set our intention to align with grace, and I explain through the course why this is so important. Then we set the foundation, which is really taking care of your basic needs first and getting very, very clear what they are, and they won't be what you think they are, okay? So this is it. Your brain's very clever, but it's not that clever. So we move behind the brain. Then expanding your understanding of co-creation. We introduce this idea, and we introduce the idea of being multidimensional beings of love and light. So again, for those of you who have an understanding of this, it takes it deeper and it helps you understand more about what being a multidimensional being is and what being a being of love and light is. We're not just light, we're not just love. We are the consciousness and we are the compassion too. So this all gets explained. Then I start to introduce the 3rd and 4th and 5th dimensions. We actually follow through with this a bit later in the course, but you get a whole intro to the outline of the course in session 1, included the sacred geometry that is the divine architecture that will support you anytime you get lost, because I think this is the thing. I really believe that we need to learn the rules before we break them. And this kind of teaches you the rules, right? And then you learn confidently how to go off-piste and how to navigate back to where you want to go using your internal compass and your internal sat-nav when you find yourself lost. Because anytime we expand, anytime we grow beyond what we're used to, our uncomfortable comfort zone, we go through a period of fear as we enter into new territory, but then we just don't know what's next. And the fear can really get into us, fear being false expectation appearing real. Right? So what happens with this is we can end up backtracking a hell of a lot because we're just scared of the change. We're scared of the unknown and we don't know how we're going to keep moving forward, especially if we've had a success. And then what's happened is we're scared of maintaining that success. Okay, it's like, how do I keep this going? How do I build on this? What if that was a fluke? So it's all the negative programming that can come up and self-sabotage. Anyone who's on a path of moving up will know about the self-sabotage and how clever the ego gets at hiding itself over time, and especially as we develop our tools. So the second step is we go into alignment here. So alignment is understanding that what you focus on grows, and I use the analogy of hidden blocks, declared roadworks, and route closures. So if you think of this idea of having an internal sat-nav, having a destination you want to get to, which are your goals in the areas of your life that you want to improve, having an idea of the journey you want to experience along the way. So, you know, would you like to go the really fast, intense way? Would you like to go the sort of medium way? Would you like to go the slow way? It's really up to you. You have to do this in such a way that you're going to feel safe to move out of where you're used to being into somewhere new. And this again will help you understand, especially the hidden blocks and the declared roadworks and route closures, how your conscious mind and your subconscious can end up in a battle. So you can be determined you want something, but you keep sabotaging that. And this is really helpful step for those of you who have done quite a lot of work on yourselves, because this was the eureka for me and for the clients that I've worked with they've all had big breakthroughs, but it's like understanding the stories that our brain tells us, right? And as a result of that, that's it. We talk about the ego and what the ego is. We go over things that you may know, but we go over them in more detail and kind of put them in context. And this whole inner hidden resistance is all of the stuff, the self-deprecating stuff that prevents us from moving out of being in the shadows into the light. You can think of this in terms of the fact that these things will be internal and unknown to you. These will be the steps you need to take to get where you want to get. And it might be that you want to go the direct route, but to be able to do something, you're going to have to take a few detours to get there. And it's understanding the steps that you're going to need to take will eventually get you there. But to really get to the top, you need to have certain qualities that you won't have if you go the direct way. So you need to pick all of this up like Pac-Man points along the way. And the route closures are what help you to basically get really clear on your free will and other people's free will and where you can't interfere with others' free will. So it really helps you to honor your soul, to not build karma through forcing things the way you want them to be, and to respect. Everybody gets there in their own time, and it's not your job to push people or anyone, not to push yourself either. You don't need to push the river. So step 3, inspired action. This is about trusting yourself. And we say it's the alternate routes you can take, okay? So I should go through week 2 and week 3 a little bit more. So this whole alternate routes you can take is about you becoming your own inner authority and learning to unplug from the conditioning that is all around you, which we call the matrix. It's about developing a relationship with your own intuition, understanding it, which we have a lot of hard times. A lot of people, especially sensitives, really struggle to trust their intuition because their intuition has led them to pain. And this is the thing, is understanding that there are different voices within us. Which ones do we actually listen to, and why do we listen to them? You can talk about trusting your heart or your gut or your womb or your higher self, your superconscious, but what are they? That's what we go through on the course. How can you decipher the different voices? How can you build an inner dialogue so you feel safe to have a conversation with the inner me's that are there, and to recognize they don't all want the same thing. And some of them will say they want to go where you're going, but actually they really don't want to. So again, it's understanding that in this particular one here about trusting yourself, it's being able to decipher which you are connecting with, energizing and allowing to lead the way, to be at the helm. So when you're on autopilot, and when you are consciously taking control of the wheel. So your autopilot needs to be an aspect of your being that you want to be directing you where you're going, right? You wouldn't put a 3-year-old in charge of your autopilot, would you? You wouldn't allow a 3-year-old program to be your autopilot. And yet that is our autopilot. Most of us have an autopilot, which is the ego, which is somewhere between the age of 1 and 7. It's scary, that, isn't it? They make all of our decisions. If I just go up to 2, sorry, I was born bum first. I do things back to front sometimes. One of the things that I really do cover is what resistance is and the difference between duty and desire. And this often really is in conflict for us because we think we want things, but actually we just want them to keep other people happy and to stop ourselves rocking the boat with those around us. So we push down our true desires and we do what we feel will make others happy, but at the cost of our own being. It also teaches us how to stop playing the victim and to become empowered. So to learn where we're giving our power away, that's what session 2 is about. Discovering the hidden blocks of resistance, which are all to do with low self-worth and self-doubt. Deciphering your inner critic, so understanding more about the judge, jury, and the executioner. So we all have them inside of us. And also understanding more about how society and our families and our religions do influence us. So when you get to session 3, you're becoming your own inner authority. You're learning more about your higher self. You're learning how fear
scrambles your intuition. Remember that fear stands for false emotions appearing real. So why sometimes we think we're listening to our intuition, but it's actually just a scrambled signal. Understanding what our current narrative is and start questioning it. So start questioning the voices that lead the way, and learning how to shift our perception and of ourselves and others. So then we get step 4, which is internal and external communication, body-based signals, external road signs, and making sense of your direction on the map. Okay, so you remember those 3D glasses? You can put glasses on and you can see something in front of you totally differently, right? And also there are those old, I just remember those, it's probably the 80s and 90s, which really shows my age, where you could kind of look at a picture and the obvious thing you would see is one thing, but if you looked at the picture again and you looked at it long enough and you softened your gaze, you would see something completely different. So this is the difference between seeing through eyes of love and seeing through eyes of fear, right? And what this particular step is all about is being able to get you to actually understand more about how what you're expecting to see will color your perception and your experience. So understanding how what you're expecting will influence how you read the external signs, and also how when you're looking for a sign in life, when you're looking at your world, seeing how much of the world around you is actually in resonance with what you want. So you can say that you like to be ordered and you're very disciplined, for example, and you like to know where you're going. But when you look at your environment, it's chaotic and you can't find anything, or you find that you're in a job that actually really doesn't support you to feel the way that you want to feel. So you've attracted something that's in contrast to what you're actually intending to experience. And that will say more about the fact that what you want and what you expect are very different things. So your outer world will always tell you more about what you expect, and then it will guide you back to your inner world. And also, if you are using your intuition, it's how to be able to make sense of what is around you. Sometimes we can really lose our way and we don't know whether we're up or down. We don't know whether we're progressing or we're regressing. I do believe that breakdowns are breakthroughs. However, how we deal with them and then how quickly we recover and how much stronger we feel afterwards will determine whether that is true or not. So this is about you being able to understand more about the different voices that are internal to you. So being able to understand the feedback between your outer environment and your inner world. So you might consider yourself to be very kind, for example, or very friendly, but you may find that people don't respond to you in that way. Maybe people are suspicious of you and you don't know why. Or maybe they tend to retract around you and you might think that you're being friendly or kind, but actually they might perceive it in a very different way. So how we perceive ourselves and how the world around us tell us things are can be quite different. So it's being able again to move out of judgment into observation and how to understand much more about this relationship. And also seeing the road signs to show you whether what you are focused on is aligned with what you want. So this is where I start to talk more about course correction and vibrational maintenance. So the road signs you see around you, so whether you are seeing doors open up or whether you're being met with resistance one step along the way after another, will tell you basically where you're at and what you're focused on. Because you might think that you are focused on your goals, but actually the whole time in your mind, you're stressing about everything that could go wrong and you're blaming others and you're expecting the worst from others. And as a result of that, that's what you're getting. So it's being able to catch yourself out on your own BS, and to do that in a very concise way. So these 6 steps, just you can end up going through them anytime you're facing a challenge and just work out where you're at and how to course correct so that then you can move into vibrational maintenance, okay, which is what we want to do whilst we're waiting for things to shift. And this does speed up the manifesting very, very much. Okay, so then we get to step 5, and this is about rewriting your narrative. So your new presets, okay? So if again you think of this in terms of the analogy of a sat nav and an operating platform, I know I'm talking about computers and I'm talking about sat navs, but kind of work with me on this. So if your sat nav voice, for example, is one that's loving and kind and compassionate and says, yeah, you're doing great. You know what? Watch out ahead because, you know, there's probably going to be some traffic on that route. You might want to go this way. You're not going to be able to get where you want to in the time that you're expecting there. So why not take a little break? Why not have a little meditation? Why not eat something that's going to energize you? Remember, everything's working out in your favor. Remember, life loves you. Remember, life is got your back. It's going to be a different experience of dealing with what you encounter on the route versus having a voice saying to you, oh, you idiot, you're going to be late. Where's your focus? What are you doing? There's going to be problems over that way and there's going to be problems over that way. You might as well just stop and give up, right? Different voices that you're listening to will totally determine how you can accept a situation. So that's what it really comes down to here when you are rewriting your narrative, is to become clearer on what is the story that you actually want to be telling, and therefore how do you talk to yourself, okay? How do you support yourself through this new narrative, and how much of it is about other people changing things so you can be happy, how much of it is about you changing your perception of situations and looking for the growth, the opportunities for growth, rather than the reasons not to move forward. And rewriting the narrative is actually harder than you think. When I've looked at what people have written down and I've kind of gone through their notes, I've really found people get stuck in stories, long stories, and trying to control every outcome. You don't need to do that. This is very much about just capturing the flavor, the essence of the experience and the things you most want to be able to share as your joys and your successes, as though you're talking to a friend. But there are certain things that will really help you to make your new narrative successful, your new story. So instead of people asking you how you are and you're going, oh, I'm all right, and then you list all of the problems that are going on in your life, or all the reasons why you're not happy, or all the reasons that you're stressed, or same old, you know, all of that, starting to pay attention to it, and then noticing how you can show up differently and how you can have a different result. That's what comes out of this particular module, and learning to rewrite it and getting the support to rewrite your story, especially in those 3 areas that you want to improve. This will, again, anchor for you the key areas that you need to focus in order to see a shift in those areas. And it's never about the other person. It's never about the career. It's never about anything other than how you show up, first of all, and working with that. Let's just see what else I've got here. So expanding your perception of what's possible. Time to reorientate and check that the map you have is the one you want to follow. This, you know, sometimes we actually really realize we want to be in a completely different experience and we want to have a different experience, and we're going to need to let ourselves do that. Getting clear on what story you want to write and energize it. So someone was asking, one of the ladies I was speaking to was asking me about New Year's resolutions and about what she wanted to experience this year, and feeling a little bit lost in terms of not knowing what she wanted to create. And this is where I would say that, you know, again, we get really stuck in the details and we can think we want things, but we have to ask the question, why do we want them? Is it in order to control things to feel safe? Is it because we want to grow, learn, expand? Is it because we want a new experience? Is it because we want to be right? Is it because we want to win? We want to dominate? What is the reasoning behind what you want? And, you know, the story that you currently tell according to the life that you live is a story that was inherited. It's not your story. It's not your true story. It's an inherited story. So through this particular module, you get to decide what the story is that you want to tell. And those of you who've done, for example, the Fearless program, you know, we touch on this a little bit in that, but you really get a chance to go deeper with this and to fine tune. So that allows you to then look at potential affirmations, intentions, working with your I am presence to be able to create powerful shifts in those areas by fine tuning how to actually expand what you want and love up what you don't want. And this will, again, it's a beautiful module for discovering the key qualities of your character. So actually what you think your key qualities of your character are, what you want to energize, but also what others really value in you. And changing how you talk about situations that challenge you. We go into that because that's very important if you want change. Finally, step 6, divine navigation, understanding divine will, divine timing, and surrendering manipulation. So, you know, when we talk about being a conscious co-creator, which is what this course introduces you to, the downside of that, so the shadow of that, is being an unconscious manipulator, which is what most of us are, okay? This is what most of us are doing until we get called out on it. Anyone who knows me in my private life knows that I don't entertain it, and I don't want to be entertained if I am starting to go into my shadow and just live from there and energize from there. So I like people calling me out, and I expect them to. And this course is beautiful for that. So what happens in this one is you learn to trust letting go and letting God when you accept that God is you, and you are putting the most amazingly wise, funny, awesome aspect of your being in charge. We have a real problem with this when we have learnt that giving over our personal will to a higher power means we're giving over our will and our lives to a vengeful, wrathful, and judgmental external presence that's going to decide whether or not we are worthy and deserving of the things that we want. Complete contradiction to grace, by the way. And why would you? Why would you surrender your ego? Why would you surrender your personal desire to be in control of things if that's what you're surrendering to? I didn't, and I wouldn't. The only time I really let go and let God was when I trusted that my God was my inner sense. It was my higher self, my super conscious, the wisest part of me that wants me to have the most awesome experience here on earth, pass all my exams with flying colours so I can have an awesome time and spend most of my time having fun, enjoying what I've come here to learn this life because I've chosen the curriculum rather than having to retake exams all the time because I'm constantly resisting learning the lesson and I'm actually not turning up for lessons. I'm resisting listening to the teacher, the inner teacher, which is me, and I'm resisting the support that's there. And I'm basically just self-sabotaging all the time. So instead of getting out there and playing and having a wonderful time with all the things I've mastered, I just keep going round and round in circles and I keep missing out on the fun. How many of you feel like you're doing that? You're living your life and you're the one in the drudgery, working your ass off, whilst everyone around you seems to be having a great time. Let go and let God. Embodying your higher self, exploring your relationship with your inner presence, clearing up resistance that says we are not creators and are not this powerful, because we bloody well are, but your self-saboteur will insist, especially if you spent years and years and years working on yourself, that it can't possibly be this easy. And it's like, well, it is. You set a vibration and you clear up your resistance to it. And you keep doing that, and you keep doing that, and you keep doing that. So this is where we get to vibrational maintenance. Everything before is about course correction, all the 5 steps before a course correction. And this is where we release all attachment to manifestations and timings of events, and exploring the feeling of surrender. So this is like when you let go of the fact that your happiness is going to be dependent on you having X amount of money or getting together with this particular partner or whatever. And you accept that everything that has inspired you, that has been an external sign leading you in a certain direction, might actually not have been the ultimate destination that you needed to go to, but you were propelled that way to be inspired to awaken certain feelings that would remind you that this is actually the feeling vibration that you want to anchor, you want to radiate, and therefore magnetize to you experiences in life that actually match that vibration that you are. So this is it. This is essentially what it is, okay? The whole 6 steps are that. And it's packed content, okay? It is absolutely packed. So let me come back this way. There we go. So yeah, it's absolutely packed full of information. And this is where you ask the question, you know, who is it for? Like, who really benefits from this? And I would say this is for people that are really in their heads. They spend a lot of time in their mental body. They are not very happy with being in their heads, okay? Their head is not a nice place to be. They're constantly thinking about things, constantly in the future, constantly in the past. This course will help you to basically get in the present moment. It will help you to anchor in the now, stop expecting the future to be a recurrence of the past, And also it will allow you to be able to start to see how you contribute to things constantly playing out again and again and again. Now, you will definitely get results from this program. I mean, for me, I'll explain what happened in a moment, but you will see things improve in your life. You'll get lots of quick wins whilst you're on the program. And that can kind of make you feel like, yay, this is really working. And it does. But if you do not do the deeper work, and this is what the course doesn't do, the course does not reprogram your subconscious. It definitely helps you to engage with your conscious mind in a completely different way. So it's a refreshing way of being able to work with your inner psyche and make it a much more pleasant place to be, and how to navigate through confusion, okay? But what it won't do is reprogram the subconscious. So if you were completely new to my work and you decided to join this course, what it would do is give you the foundations and a structure within which to expand your current perception, and then to feel safe to go deeper and to do the deep clearing, which would then be doing the Fearless, Empowered and Free to Be Me group or one-to-one coaching, or Conceive with Ease, depending on whether you want a baby. If though, and as I've got both Rochelle and Susie on, who have both said hello, who have already done Fearless, Rochelle's currently doing it and Susie already had, why would Co-Creation Success support you now to have an even better experience? Well, when you come on the deep diving programs like Fearless, Empowered and Free to Be Me and Conceive with Ease, you are reprogramming your subconscious in all the key areas. So everything to do with the masculine, everything to do with the feminine, anything to do with fear motivating you, anything to do with avoiding pain, physical, emotional, psychological, anything to do with guilt, blame, shame, and playing the victim, and anything to do with lack consciousness, okay? We go through all of this reprogramming within a safe structure that is really about you being able to clear your cellular memory, which is your physical body, as well as the energetics around you. So if you've done that already and you come to this course, what it will do is just help you to remember where you're at now is different to where you were when you started the program that you were on. So what do you want now? What's shifted already? It's being able to recognize how far you've come, and now where do you want to go? It's about fine tuning. Okay, so in that fine tuning, you then get to see again, all these wonderful things have happened, but these areas are still sticking points. If I'm completely honest with myself, I want them to change. I'm ready for that change now. So what it will do is help you to uncover the blind spots that are preventing you being able to move fully into the flow in that area. Those of you who've been watching my life will know how much things have changed really since I started this course. So we ran it, we first ran it in the summer. So it was the end of July, beginning of August. And in that time, everything happened for me. So until that point, I had found myself growing and growing and growing, both in my own personal journey and getting through some real challenges at home, in relationships, like, you know, your finances, your one-to-one relationships, your closest relationships, your relationship to yourself, and also what you want to do in life. All of that was like massive for me in terms of being able, and wealth, okay? So being able to materially support ourselves. All of those things were things I had to spend a long time working through. You know, I've been a yoga teacher all of my adult life, okay? I'd done IT recruitment, got pregnant, and then a single mum very early in my life, and basically worked and worked and worked to build a dream that I believed in. And I had the belief that I had to work incredibly hard in order to succeed. So I was working incredibly hard and making progress, but very slowly. And when I started doing the reprogramming of my subconscious, I definitely started to have quantum leaps, and I was seeing myself grow into greater and greater versions of myself. But I was still finding that things were not as smooth flowing, and I was getting stuck in areas that I wanted to move through. And then when I ran this course, basically, it just helped me to put everything into some order. It helped me to put everything in such a place where I could see where I was holding myself back, where I was expecting that I had to be perfect in order to be able to have certain things that I wanted. So I had certain blind spots that were really holding me back. And for a lot of us, especially on a spiritual path, any of you who care, people who are attracted to my work are carers, you're emotional empaths, right? it means that it's very difficult to put yourself first because you feel like you're denying others things that they need. And especially if you are on a spiritual path, and the belief is that you're not allowed to be wealthy, you're not allowed to be successful in the material world, you're meant to give, and you block yourself from actually receiving. So this course teaches you where you're blocking yourself from receiving what you want. And actually it helps you to understand that it isn't about anyone else, it's about you. It's about you showing up differently. And that's not a judgment, and that's not a curse. It's a really empowering thing for you to take on board, okay? So it is a phenomenal experience. So I would say that for the people who've already done the deep diving, this is about fine-tuning and vibrational maintenance. For people who are new to my work, it is going to be about course correction, okay? And definitely, especially if you've done lots of spiritual work before, it's going to be seeing where you've potentially plugged in and got some misperceptions going on that are preventing you from being able to really flourish and thrive. And it is simple. So the 6 steps you end up being able to apply to the 3 areas of your life that are most challenging you, and you can apply it to anything else as well. So if anyone have any questions, it's been my usual hour. I'm sorry, it's not quite been half an hour, but if anyone has any questions, can you please ask me? I'm going to just go into what makes the course so special, and then any other questions that you have, feel free to ask me, okay? So I've already mentioned that it teaches you course correction and vibrational maintenance and what the 2 are. It also introduces you to divine architecture. So it simplifies everything. It gets you to understand how to plug in to all of the support that is available to you in simple ways, okay? So I talk about earth chakras, I talk about soul chakras, I talk about your Merkaba field, I talk about your light body, I talk about your sphere of compassion, I talk about what you need to do to be able to strengthen your physical and energetic bodies to be able to take in more and more of your soul light, and to understand that your soul is you, okay? The essence of you is your soul. So much of who you think you are is not who you truly are. It's just programming. So it's stripping that away and getting you to understand that the true joys, the true passions, the true desires you have, whatever they are, like moving beyond judgment, are your soul's purpose. They're there to help you to activate an inquiry that will get you searching towards these things, and therefore growing in your understanding of what it means to be a unified, multidimensional being of love and light. More on the course for that. It helps you to refocus your mental body, okay? So we have different energetic layers of our bodies. You have the physical, etheric, emotional, mental, astral, and then we move beyond that. So this one here really helps you to make friends with your mental body and to show up differently in it. How to utilize your thinking to clear resistance and to create opportunities for things to be different. It's not just about how we respond to life, it's about how we show up in the first place. So this really teaches you how to show up in a different way, and then how to respond to what shows up, so that you can make sure that you are constantly aligning with your highest intentions, rather than the unconscious manipulator aspect of you that needs to control things in order to feel safe. We all have that. There's no judgment, but it is important to move beyond it. And one of the things I cover in the course is an understanding of your inner family, and how so much of how we uncover inner resistance. So when you discover the inner resistance that really propels you, and it won't be what you think it is, because this is the thing, there's lots of bits that we cover to help you understand that whatever you think you know about yourself, there's so much more, and you'll discover things that will teach you to have tremendous compassion for yourself. And all the time, we are just working with our mental bodies. You know, we're not working with reprogramming the subconscious. We're just working with that 5 to 10% of the conscious mind. We do go deeper, and I do show you some consciousness shifting tools, but you know, it's the tip of the iceberg. We've got to go deeper than that to have the long lasting results. But you get to rediscover yourself in a way that I find really, really fascinating. So you kind of learn through this that a lot of those hidden blocks, or most of them, are really down to the health of your inner family, which will be a representation, a replica of the health of the family that you grew up around and what they taught you about yourself. And it's often not what they said, it's just what you perceived that they felt about you, which may be completely wrong, but it's still covered, it still influences how you perceive things and how you show up. Finally, what it won't do is it won't reprogram your subconscious. And I said that this is essential for long-standing results. If you do want to do the deeper diving first, I have currently got one space on my Fearless course. It's always worth checking what's running at the moment, because there's usually a Conceive with Ease or a Fearless group running or about to run, so you can find out about it. But if you know you'd like to do the deep diving first and kind of do the subconscious clearing, then you can do co-creation success afterwards as a sort of vibrational maintenance, and just to distract your conscious mind from the fact that you have reprogrammed your subconscious and things are changing, starting to look for those changes. So if you feel drawn to more doing deeper work and doing coaching with me, then those programs are 4-month commitments. Whereas if you just want to have an experience that is going to really expand your mind in the most phenomenal ways and deepen what you already know, that is what Co-Creation Success is. And it's only a 6-week course. So what will happen is, if you decide to sign up, should you decide to sign up, and I hope you will, because it will blow your mind. It is absolutely mind-blowing. You get a lot for your buck, okay? Always, anything that I do, and this is an entry-level course, so it is by far the cheapest thing that I offer. But if you can imagine how much you receive from this, it's going to give you a lot of confidence to invest with me more of your resources, because you're going to get so much more. For this one here, you'll get 6 weeks of live contact time with me. So as I said, it's currently 7:30 on a Sunday evening, but it could change. So just check in with what it is at the time that you look at this video. And we'll be online, definitely 90 minutes, often 2 hours. And this will be a presentation from me on the lesson, and then Q&A and understanding where we've come to from last week. You will have a document that will support you through the 6 steps. So there's a little bit of homework each week. It's not a lot, but it's enough to just get you to answer your own questions as much as you can, and then find where you hit a block so that I can support you through that and the group can support you through that. There is, once you sign up, we send you an email with some pre-work to do. Again, it's really simple. It's just about you getting clear on the areas of your life that you want to improve, so that you can bring it to the table when we start together on the 3rd. And then you will also get, through it, a closed Facebook group to connect with the community that are also on the course, and it's often global. You will then get a WhatsApp group as well, where you can all communicate with each other whilst we're on the course, and you can keep that WhatsApp group going if you would like to. And we also have a free breakthrough call at the end of the course. So once you've done the course with me, you get to book in, and you need to book your breakthrough call within the time that the course is running, otherwise you will be charged. But the breakthrough call in itself is £100. So you get a free breakthrough call with me as part of the course, and that will then determine what we do next, and it will help you anchor your new narrative. So whether you decide to do further work with me or not, it's going to really help you to anchor the new story, to get that new preset route on your sat nav nicely anchored in and programmed in, and check that there's no bugs in the system that are going to prevent that new pre-program being something you can trust. You're putting on autopilot your higher self, and we make sure that, we clarify anything that was unclear for you in the course and move you forward, so we can see what's next for you. Whether you're ready next or not, it's actually knowing what you need to do next to support your growth and to support this new vibrational state that you are stepping into. You are then at liberty. So at the moment, depending on when you join the course, so if you subscribe now to join the course, you will have the option of a 3 installment plan. So in order to be able to do this, you will need to have made your first installment the month before the course actually starts. So we're in January at the moment, the course is starting in February, which means you would need to sign up to be able to pay in 3 installments. The course is currently £200. I'm telling you now, it's going up. It was £69 when we ran the pilot. We've refined it. We will get an evergreen from this one, and then the course will go up again. And if you want a monetary value, I'd add at least another 0 to it to get a sense of what the content alone is worth. It is. I've got into trouble for wanting to provide it at this price. So I just want you to know that, it is very, very worthwhile, and it's worth your time and your investment. And what will happen is you will unblock yourself, especially when it comes to finances, because so often this really holds us back. So that you understand that finances are really a currency of energy. When you start unblocking the blockages of energy flowing through your body, that also improves your finances. So in being able to sort of take that leap now, you will get a return on that. And if you know that like money's challenging for you, I just want to remind you, get on my Rosy Glow website and sign up to the Prosperity Challenge. It's free. It's how you join my mailing list, and you set an intention to raise whatever money you want to whatever is important to you. And you do that Prosperity Challenge. You start with the new moon and do it for 28 days and then do it for another 28 days if you need to, but you will get the results that you want. I've had people that wanted to do my Fearless group coaching or one-to-one. They didn't have the money. They did the Prosperity Challenge and boom, the money just came. So if that applies to you now and the 200s is just a little bit out of your budget, get on the Prosperity Challenge, okay? I don't want to hear excuses from anybody, because those excuses are really you just not showing up for yourself, saying, I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving. Oh, it's not really going to give me what I need to. It can't be that good. It's as good as you want it to be. It will give you the results that you expect. And that will be determined by how you show up. You know, if you are wanting to prove yourself right, you will. If you want to prove yourself wrong and open yourself up to the fact that actually you can learn new things that will support you to move forward. And it's often those tiny little shifts that need to happen that will allow the biggest breakthroughs. That's what this course will help you to do. So it's all there for you. I'm just trying to think whether there's anything more. I think we've actually probably come to the point that we can bring this to a close. So I will put the links for you in terms of how you can find out more through the course content and also to pay in the box below this video. Please do bear in mind that, yeah, we're getting close to the start date. So if you'd like to take advantage of the 3 installment offer, then please make sure that you get in touch ASAP so we can process your first payment before the 1st of February. Otherwise, you'll only be able to have a 2 installment option, or you'll need to pay in one go. Okay. And I think one of the things that's very important to understand here is that to have co-creation success, the physical reality and the subtle world need to line up. So we can see our own blind spots. So we need a way to reveal them. And this is what happens. This can only happen when you don't know what's going to come next. And that's why I can't tell you too much about what I go into in the course, because I need to scramble your expectations a little bit so that your genuine self can actually come through and you can start to see what you couldn't see before. So when there is a lineup between the internal vibration and the external vibration, you have a success. Okay. I think that's it. So yeah, there's loads of social proof. If you go onto the landing page, you'll see that there are testimonials from people that have been on the program and have loved it and then gone on to do further work with me. You can keep an eye on the Facebook page and Instagram as well. And if you have any questions, then by all means get in touch and either myself or one of the team will answer them. In the meantime, I want to say thank you so much for joining me for this hour. Sorry it wasn't half. Divine timing, darling. It's all about divine timing. And I want to say a special thank you to Co-Creation Collective, who have only revealed themselves to me recently. But understanding that when you're integrating your own energy and you are working with your soul light and you're bringing more and more of your soul light in, this is where you start to recognize there's an oversoul and that you have higher guidance that comes through your higher self. So I'm delighted to be working with these frequencies that are really, we talk about different dimensions. This is like a 12-dimensional frequency, but being able to come through me in such a way that we can talk in a 4th and 5th dimensional concept. And again, don't worry if you don't know what that means. We talk about that on the course and you learn a lot more about how you can move out of fear into thriving, into love, and where at the moment you think that might be happening, but it isn't actually happening as much as it needs to for you to guarantee your success. I'll leave it there. So much love. Thank you so much. Take care and just get on the course. You will not regret it. It's going to be one of the best things you've ever done in your life. In fact, you could say it's going to be the best thing that you've ever done, and it will be. And that's how it works. Okay, so Take care, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with me. Bye bye now.